So I know a lot of who you work with, Glenn, you've shared with me, are executives and nonprofits. So what are they selling? A vision,
Yeah, exactly.
right? They're trying to get people to buy into a vision. If it was politics, it's buying into their candidate or buying into supporting a candidate. If it's some other organization, they may actually be selling services. So let's say we're selling a vision.
Hmm.
It is meeting the need of a potential supporter, donor, or someone in need. And what is their need? Maybe I feel good by giving. It may be I feel strongly about a cause. It may be I personally have had challenges and I know your organization is in alignment. Now it's just helping touch on those feelings and emotions and desires of someone and elevating that so that they realize that what you have to offer is a better use of my time, effort, or
Hmm.
money.
Okay.
Because I could have my time, effort, money somewhere else. It's just helping me or helping someone else understand what's different about your organization. Why should I put time, effort, and money toward you versus somewhere else?
Okay. I want to back up just a second here because you did come upon something that often happens. Salespeople are viewed as the used car dealers and those type of things, and you have a process, and you discuss that in your book 180, and also you're going to talk about your book Balls. But you have this process, and I think when I deal with salespeople, I'm not liking it too much. So that, to me, that makes your job a little bit harder. Why do you do it?
Why do I do it? That's a great question. The funniest thing is I'm an accidental sales expert. I was introvert as a young kid. I was a math science geek. I got my degree in electrical and computer engineering and I fell into it. I was actually wanting to be a technical liaison between a company and their clients. And I ended up accidentally, in a way, I interviewed with IBM and I got hired at IBM. And I thought, what a great opportunity to push myself because this is not what I would normally do. And I was at a point in my life right after college where I wanted personal change. So I went into sales and I was very fortunate at IBM that IBM was not like traditional sales of other businesses. They were truly consultants. And one of the things that they taught me is you really have to understand your client and your client's client. What you're there for is to solve a problem. So I started studying more and more about sales. And what I realized is I was always a problem solver. As an engineer, I'm a problem solver. So when I took a different frame or different view of selling, not that I was selling, but I was solving a problem for an organization. I was solving a problem. So I sold to nonprofits. I sold to other types of businesses, and it was just solving a problem. And if they didn't have a problem, it was understanding their business so well
Yes.
that I knew what the problems probably were, even though they weren't always top of mind. So then what I learned is if I just learn to ask smart questions, and I'm not afraid to ask smart questions, it elevates need and the pain and it makes them realize, you know what, you're right. We have that problem all the time. I wasn't thinking about it in the moment, but you're right. That is an ongoing headache we've had. We had no idea there was a way to solve it. And then what I do is ride in on the white stallion pony and solve the problem. And I go, look, if there was a way to solve it, is that something you'd be interested in hearing about? And they're like, well, absolutely. And then it was just a natural transition to either solve a problem or help them achieve a desire and a personal win or a corporate win or a business win that they had. And then it was just a natural transaction. It was just a natural thing. So I didn't look at it as selling. And so what happened is, moving forward, I realized that in order for me to differentiate myself and my approach, I couldn't continue to appear like all the other salespeople, because then people do pigeonhole me, just like you said, Glenn. They put you in oh, you're a sales rep. So I said, I got to be different. So I learned how to appear, approach, and work with clients in a manner that was different. And I had one gentleman, which is very typical of clientele of mine, who said to me, Dave, I have worked for 20 years with salespeople. I have never worked with someone like you. You are so different from everyone else. And I continued to hear that over and over, and I asked them what they meant.
Yeah.
And so what I realized is I really took a 180-degree swing and a 180-degree approach from the way most salespeople are, meaning I didn't come across like a salesperson. Sure, I have excitement and enthusiasm with you on the call, but with a client, I learned to adapt, best communicate
Okay.
the way they needed to be communicated to. So I'm not over the top, this aggressive, assertive, outgoing person. I'm like a doctor. I'm just solving their pain. And so I appear differently than most. And so what I realized is I was always contrary to what I read in books and contrary to other salespeople, and it made me stand out. And so from that, I realized I do 180 degree. And then I
Right.
eventually coined that as my approach is 180 degree selling and 180 degree leadership and 180 degree customer service. Because in my leadership, my selling service, it's contrary to what everyone else does. And I realized it fit my personality because that describes me since I was a kid. I was always contrary. I always wanted to take the different path. And I don't know why. I think it's because I was never really comfortable being a follower. And when I was
Right.
young, I was not necessarily a leader. I was young, I wasn't a leader. I just wasn't a follower. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I did more personal development and some of the things I wrote about in my book that I started learning how to really be a leader. And I still continue to have that contrary approach. And it has served me well. And as I train and coach hundreds, if not thousands of people, and I speak to thousands of people all over the US and internationally, it resonates that having this contrary approach to what's typical.
It does resonate.